Hi, I'm Joe Welinske, and I'm the program manager for Seattle's annual user experience conference called ConveyUX that is produced by BlinkUX. We've been doing it now for 7 years, so we're excited about the next one that's coming up March 11th, 12th, and 13th in Seattle. And I get the chance to talk to our many speakers that will be at the event. And today I'm talking with Chris Gallello. Hello, Chris. How are you today?
Hey, Joe. Pretty good.
I'm speaking from the waterfront area of Seattle, and where are you at?
I wish, I'm at the waterfront area of San Francisco, except you don't get the nice view here.
Well, it's good to have you as part of the program, and want to start by asking you to talk a little bit about your background and the types of things that you're involved in now for people who may not be familiar with your work.
Sure thing. I guess I'll start with my background. I studied engineering in school, but the school that I went to very much focused on teaching design to engineers. It's called Olin College, and they're trying to change the way engineering education is done. But as a result of that, I really kind of got passionate about design. And so I started kind of creeping more and more into that throughout the course of my career. So I started as a PM at Microsoft. I was then a PM at Imgur. I was their first PM, so it was very chaotic, crazy, but also fun time. But then I left that and started a company called Purple.pm, and we're currently building kind of planning tools for designers and product managers to be able to work better together across design teams, but also across design, engineering, PM, even other orgs, to kind of lay out your design process all in one place. So that's what I'm up to now. We got a small company, but we've kind of just launched, and we're getting off the ground with that.
And what was the nature of the work that you were doing with Imgur or Microsoft or whatever you're able to talk about for that?
Yeah, sure. It's all sorts of things, especially at Microsoft. They have PMs do everything from deep engineering planning to, when I was there, our team, we didn't get the luxury of having enough designers to work with. And so, I had to do some design work myself and doing usability studies, all that kind of stuff. So it just really changes day to day, which was very fun. But that's also kind of how I realized that, okay, the engineering work is fun, but also I really am enjoying, the design side of things and actually creating some, the experience that our users will have. So I was, personally, I was on the Office Online team, and it was a very fun time to be part of that team because we really transitioned from this old school Office web apps, old style application in the browser to a new, a visually refreshed and real-time collaboration, auto-saving, all those kinds of nice features that you'd kind of expect out of a modern Office document provider. So it was a fun time to be there.
All right, great. Well, sounds like that was an interesting place to get launched, but now you've got a lot of things going on with your new venture. But are there any new things that you're particularly interested in or passionate about?
Yeah, just on the side, I personally, one thing I've realized is important is to always stay in touch with some new technology. And especially from a design perspective, I'm in love with virtual reality and augmented reality. I think it's going to be a big part of our future in some way or another, whether that's entertainment or whether that's productivity. There will be industries that kind of are transformed by that. And I particularly love the design challenges to be solved right now because it's just such new interfaces that we're kind of in the early days of that. So it's fun to be part of that. I do design and development for VR and AR and run a meetup group here in San Francisco for VR and AR designers. So all sorts of fun stuff that I'm, just kind of keeping in touch with because I know it's coming.
And what's the actual name for that meetup group if people wanted to look for it?
Yeah, it's Room Scale Designers. We're entirely done through Facebook, or we organize ourselves through Facebook. So it's just roomscale.design. That leads you right to the Facebook group. And if you join, I'll accept everybody. And we'd love to have people out.
All right, great. Well, let's turn to the topic that you're going to be talking about at the conference. It's part of our development stream, which is one of several interest areas with a common theme at the conference. And your topic is entitled Designers, Developers, We're All Creators. So talk a little bit about what we can expect from that.
Sure. Yeah, I think it, especially with my background coming from an engineering background and transitioning into design, it's kind of natural that that's been something I've been really passionate over the course of my career, is experimenting with ways that developers and designers can really be partners together in creating a product. And so basically what I'll be talking about is how you can really implement simple strategies here and there, but you really, there's kind of a mindset that you have to go in with, whether you're on the design side or the development side. There's a mindset of how can I help each other? How can I help the other? That both parties need to take on. And then from there, I'm going to be going into a lot of different strategies that I've experimented with over, the course of working at Microsoft, Imgur, and even my current startup, with how we work better together and kind of plan projects in a much smoother manner.
Well, yeah, I think everyone, assumes that we're very collaborative in our projects, or at least we try to think that. Were there any particular challenges from your past experience that kind of brought you around to what you're thinking about today in terms of, all right, we're working together, but are we really working together, and what is it?
I think there was there wasn't any like particular horror story that I went through, that kind of stuff, but it was actually more of particular bright spots that made me realize that I wasn't doing things correctly at first. So for example, when I was at Microsoft, I worked a lot on accessibility with two developers, and we were really improving the accessibility of Office Online, doing a lot of overhauls, that kind of stuff. And what was really awesome to see is like one of the developers that I worked with, he got so passionate about the project that, I had him join in on the usability testing and, actually listening to users. And then he also joined me for a conference that we went to. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, we can have some real partnership here. And sure, it takes more out of his time, but that time would have been wasted arguing and debating over priorities anyways. So ultimately, it's like it costs the same amount of time, but then the developer is also much more excited and passionate and that kind of stuff. And that was like a really bright spot moment for me, that it was like, hey, there's a real good way to do this. I've also seen this at Imgur, where we were just about to launch our first Android app, and the developer, one of the developers for the Android app, he came up to me one day and he's like, hey Chris, I hope it's okay, but me and the designer, we sat down like late last night and we kind of redesigned some of the flow here. I know we haven't approved any of these designs. It's way late in the process, but I hope that's okay. And I was like, that's amazing that they work together in, whatever IDE they were using, and kind of the design iteration happened right on the spot. And that made me really happy to see that as well. So more of those bright spots that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, well, we need bright spots. So it's exciting to, always hear about kind of fresh interpretations of things that we take for granted sometimes. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me for a few minutes today. And we'll look forward to seeing you here in Seattle in March.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Joe.